Here's everything that happened in America in the last 12 hours. Don Lemon was arrested under an indictment accusing protesters of disrupting a St. Paul church service. Prosecutors allege a conspiracy to interfere with worshippers' rights. Lemon says he was there to report. The U.S. and India finalized a trade deal, and Trump said tariffs on Indian imports dropped from 25% to 18%. Indian officials welcomed the deal but said some terms are still being worked out. U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi are expected to meet Friday in Istanbul to discuss a nuclear deal, officials said. Turkey and Gulf mediators hope talks avert a U.S. strike. In an interview on Dan Bongino's show, Trump urged Republicans to nationalize voting in at least 15 places. He offered no details, and election officials said states run elections under the Constitution. A judge is weighing limits on DHS officers' use of tear gas and other munitions outside Portland's ICE facility after weekend protests. Plaintiffs say children were hit, and the judge plans a ruling Tuesday. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced 2 more arrests tied to a January 18 protest that disrupted a church service in St. Paul. Prosecutors say 9 people now face federal civil rights conspiracy charges. A federal judge in Washington blocked the Trump administration from ending temporary protected status for about 350,000 Haitians. The order keeps work permits and deportation protections in place while a lawsuit proceeds. President Trump announced Project Vault, a $12 billion critical minerals stockpile backed by Exim financing and private capital. The plan aims to secure supplies for U.S. manufacturers and provide an emergency buffer during disruptions. Trump said the investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell should run to the end as he backs Kevin Warsh to lead the Fed. Warsh now heads to Senate confirmation with investors watching rate policy. Immigrant rights groups sued the State Department over a pause on immigrant visa processing for nationals of 75 countries. They say it violates U.S. immigration law and seek an order restoring processing. A Minnesota judge lifted an order that barred DHS from destroying evidence in the fatal shooting of nurse Alex Pretty during immigration protests. DHS pledged to preserve evidence as state and federal investigations continue. DOJ said it removed several thousand Epstein file documents after redaction errors may have exposed victim identifying information. Lawyers for survivors urged the site be taken offline as officials recheck files and add redactions. Democrat Christian Menefee won a special election for a U.S. House seat in Texas, shrinking Republicans' already thin majority. He replaces the late Rep. Sylvester Turner and will serve the rest of the term. A federal judge allowed Ørsted to resume Sunrise Wind construction off New York, restarting the last offshore wind project halted in December. The Interior Department cited radar concerns, and litigation continues.